Hey guys, it's Blue Eyes Master 91, and I thought I would follow up my Vanquish Soul deck profile with a Firewall Dragon Code Talker deck profile. So, this is a deck that utilizes two main strategies. The first is getting out the Firewall Dragon Singularity monster, while at the same time getting out Access Code Talker. When I say that both of these strategies are important, that is because you can win with one or the other, but having both and utilizing both in perfect sync will allow you to win a lot more easily. So let's dive in. So first things first, we have 3 copies of the Firewall Defensor monster. Firewall Defensor is a level 4, 1200 attack, 1500 defense, dark attribute, Cyberse monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for the link summoning of a Cyberse monster, you can special summon one Firewall monster from your deck except Firewall Defensor. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this effect except Cyberse. If a Firewall monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. You can only use each effect of Firewall Defensor once per turn. So Firewall Defensor is a fantastic starter for the deck. It allows you to get into a lot of your bigger plays quickly with his link summoning effect to go into another Firewall monster. The only other Firewall monsters I have would be a single copy of Firewall Guardian, which I'll get to later. But yeah, so after Firewall Defensor, we have 3 copies of Code Generator. Code Generator is a level 3 Earth monster that is basically the main deck chibi form of Transcode Talker. If a Cyberse monster you control would be used as link material for a Code Talker monster and this card is in your hand, you can also use this card as material. If this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard as material for a link summoning of a Code Talker monster, you can send one Cyberse monster with 1200 or less attack from your deck to the graveyard. Or if this card was sent from the field to the as material, you can add that card to your hand instead. You can only use each effect once per turn. So, Code Generator is fantastic. A lot of the code cards, Code Generator, Microcoder, Code Radiator, and Code Exporter, they are all able to be used in the hand for link summoning. There's also the Rocket Coder, which is a dual Rocket monster and Code Talker monster. We'll get into that one later as well. But Code Generator is fantastic for extending your plays. For his effect to send a monster from deck to grave, I would always send Dotscaper. Dotscaper is a level 1 monster, but when it's in the graveyard or banished, you can once per duel. Let me make sure I'm saying that right. This card is sent to the graveyard. You can special summon this card. If this card is banished, you can special summon this card. You can only use one Dotscaper effect per turn and only once that turn. You can only use each effect of Dotscaper once per duel. So, Dotscaper is fantastic. It is a great extender in a lot of Cyberse decks because it can special summon itself. However, it is a once per duel effect. You can, it can be in the graveyard and you can resummon it, and then you can banish it and resummon it. But you can only use each of those effects once per duel, which is why it is a one of. Moving right along, we have 3 copies of Microcoder. Microcoder is a level 1 code monster, and once again, with each of the code monsters, they can be used in the hand as link material for a Code Talker monster. If Cyberse monster you control would be used as link material for a Code Talker monster, this card in your hand can also be used as material. This card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard as material for the link summoning of a Code Talker monster. You can either add a Signet spell or trap from deck to hand, or if this card was on the field, you can add a level 4 Cyverse monster instead. Microcoder is fantastic. It will help you get to your copy of Signet Mining, Signet Ritual, Signet Codec, which is what I would always grab, followed by Signet Optimization. These are your bread and butter spells. Codec, anytime you summon a Code Talker monster, you get a search. You can add a monster from the deck that matches that attribute. So, Earth, if you summon out Transcode, Dark for Decode Talker, which is not in the deck. Axis Code is a Dark. Protect Code Talker is a Dark. And then there's obviously Decode Talker Heat Soul, which is a Fire. Which I believe the Rocket. Nope. So I do not. You'd be able to add a Math Mech monster to your hand. But we'll get more into these two spells here in a little bit. Next, we have a single copy of Code Radiator. Once again, Code Radiator is able to be used in the hand as a link material for a Code Talker monster. This card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard as material for the link summoning of a Code Talker monster. You can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Change its attack to 0. Also, negate its effects. If this card was sent from the field as material, you can target 2 monsters instead. So this is a really, really good card. It sets up your ability to go in and board wipe your opponent just using pure power. It allows you to get rid of problem monsters with high attack points. Finally, we have Code Exporter, the wind monster. Once again, Code Exporter, like the code monsters before it, can be used in the hand and has effects depending on where it is used. This card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard as material for a link summon of a Code Talker monster. You can target one level 4 or lower Cyverse monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Or if this card was sent from the field as material, you can special summon that monster instead, but negate its effects. So, with Code Exporter, I really like both effects. I'm not sure which one I would prefer. Code Radiator, I would definitely prefer being able to drop 2 monsters' attacks to 0 and negating effects. With Microcoder, generally it will be from the hand, and then with Code Generator, it would also usually be from the hand because it sets me up. With Code Exporter, it's very difficult to decide which one to go with. It is a higher level monster, so summoning it can be difficult. But generally speaking, I would probably use the in-hand effect because it is a level 5 monster. Next, we have our single copy of Firewall Guardian. And as I said before, it's only a single copy. It's got 2,000 defense. So on Firewall Defenser's effect, I would simply summon that out in defense. Easy 1, 2, 3. This card is sent to the graveyard as material for the link summoning of a Cyberse monster. You can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. When an attack is declared involving your link monster and an opponent's link monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard and negate that attack, and if you do, until the end of this turn, the original attack of that opponent's monster becomes 0. Also, it is unaffected by other card effects, except its own. And then you can only use each of these effects once per turn. So, what's nice about Guardian is it can resummon itself and be used to extend further. So you can go into a link 1, summon this out, go into a link 2, resummon it, and then go into a link 3. It's a fantastic card. It is extremely versatile, and it helps you set up. Because if you're going into, say, a copy of Link Decoder, he comes out in defense. Now, you can link off for 2 to go into your copy of Splash Mage. You can resummon out your Firewall Guardian, and then while using Sage's effect, you can summon out another monster to go even further. Of course, the optimal way to do that is you would use these 2 monsters to go into a link 3 into your copy of Transcode Talker. And then using Transcode's effect, you can resummon Splash Mage and then use its effect to resummon a Cyverse monster to the field. Of course, because Link Decoder has an effect that allows it to be resummoned. You also have that as a viable. Using this to resummon, then you can link off and follow up. It gives you a lot of follow through. It's a fantastic card to have in the deck. Next, we have 2 copies of Parallel Xyz. Parallel Xyz is one of my favorite monsters in this deck, simply because it allows you to extremely easily Xyz summon. If this card is special summoned by the effect of Parallel Xyz, its level becomes 4. Its original attack and defense are halved. You can only use each of the following effects of Parallel Xyz once per turn. If you link summon, you can special summon this card from your hand to a zone that monster points to. This card is normal or special summoned. You can special summon a Parallel Xyz from your deck, which is why this is a 2 of. So what would end up happening is you would overlay those 2 to go into your Prime Mathmech Albertarian. I'm pretty sure I butchered the heck out of that name, but that's fine. And then you can further extend from there. Next, we have our 3 copies of Lady Debug. She is just she's a really, really good searcher in the deck. She allows you to add a level 3 or lower Cyverse from the deck to your hand. So she's really, really simple and really, really easy to use. Next, we have our very, very tiny Mathmech package. We have our copy of Circular, Sigma, Addition, Subtraction, and Diameter. I'm not sure I really need to explain what any of these do. They're very, very commonly used in Cyber stacks, except maybe Diameter, which will probably come out here soon for a second copy of Sigma. I just did not have a second copy. So what you'd want is 2 copies of Sigma, Addition, and Subtraction. So 1 Addition, 1 Subtraction, and Diameter just is not needed. But I do not currently have a second copy of Sigma that is free. So this is what I did to compensate. The Mathmech cards are fantastic. They are easily summoned. You summon Circular, or you use Circular's effect, you pitch Sigma, you special summon. If you have Addition already in your hand, you use Addition, increasing Circular's attack. You special summon Addition. If you have Subtraction already in your hand, you use that, you weaken an opponent's monster, you use special summon, and then you can also special summon out your Sigma. And then you can go into a lot of follow-through plays. Either a Link 4, you could do a, you could Xyz summon as they are level 4. You just have a lot of options at that point in time. So next, swear we're almost done with the monsters, guys. Next we have our copy of Ibli. She's just in here to be a nuisance to your opponent. And now we have our copy of Rocket Coder. Rocket Coder is the happy marriage between rockets and code talkers. This card would be used for link material of a Boral monster. You can treat this card as a dragon. You can only use each of the following effects of Rocket Coder once per turn. If a Cyberse monster you control would be used as link material for a code talker monster, this card in your hand can also be used as link material. This card you control would be used as link material for a Boral monster. One dark monster in your hand can be used as material. So, with Rocket Coder, the reason I included it was just as a kind of fun tech card. Being able to use it in the hand as a link material is incredibly important. That's what 90% of this deck utilizes, which is why I really like having it. Not much else to say. We then have our 3 copies of Ash. Again, self-explanatory. And then we have the Cyverse Sage, a ritual monster. You can ritual summon this card with your Signet ritual. During your main phase, you can fusion summon one fusion monster from the extra deck by banishing materials mentioned on it from your field or graveyard, including a Cyverse monster. This card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material. You can target one Cyverse monster or ritual spell in your graveyard added to your hand. You can only use each effect of Cyverse Sage once per turn. Cyverse Sage is a very, very important card in this deck. And she is the card that really helps you set up your Singularity. Singularity gains attack power. Well, it gains effects, I should say, not so much attacking power, for each summoning mechanic in the graveyard. Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Ritual. If you have all 4 in the graveyard, your Singularity can your Singularity can return cards on the field or in the graveyard to your opponent's hand. And then it gains attack points for cards returned. It is a very powerful monster. I absolutely love using Singularity. I initially thought Singularity was not that powerful because of the original Dark Fluid. But I was proven wrong, and ever since, I have been very much on that bandwagon to defend Singularity. Anyway, now we get into a lot of the staple spell cards. We have 3 copies of Mining because Mining. We have our single copy of Equation because Equation. 2 copies of Codec because it allows you an additional search. In combination with the code monsters of the main deck, when you summon out a Code Talker monster, you can search out a monster with that same attribute. So, if you summon Dark, Earth, Fire, Dark, if you summon any of these, you search for a Dark or an Earth or a Fire attribute. That said, it is not something that you need to defend hard, especially once your board is established. We have our Signet Optimization because it does allow you an additional normal summon each turn. 2 copies of the Ritual spell card because 1 is not enough. You are running 2 copies of the Ritual monster. You need at least 2 copies of the spell. We have 1 copy of Dark Ruler No More because at the time I did not have a spare copy, but since the release of the Rarity collection, I do have more copies, and I do plan to change up what is in this deck just a little bit. Getting into the traps. Really quick, as we are approaching a 20-minute video, we have our copy of Signet Conflict, Signet Circuit, and then 2 copies of Imperm. Not a lot to say about these cards. They're here for backup strategies, I guess. Conflict is a useful counter trap. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control a code talker monster, negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. And if you do, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects of cards with the same original name as that card that was banished. To the end of the next turn, you can only use Silent Conflict once per turn. So, Conflict just gets rid of a pesky monster, basically. Circuit. Target a firewall link monster you control. Special summon any number of monsters from your graveyard to either player's field linked to that monster. And if your life points are 2,000 or less, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Return a firewall link monster from your graveyard to your extra deck. You can special summon that monster from your extra deck. Then you can special summon that monster from the extra deck. You can only use each effect once per turn. So, Circuit just allows you to recycle your firewall monsters, which is important. Getting into the extra deck. We have a single copy of Firewall Dragon, and yes, I am using the Ghost Rare. Because, why not? I absolutely love how this card looks. It is fantastic. Singularity. 1 copy. Let's see. Singularity is a Link 6. It takes 3 or more effect monsters, and its effects are as followed. Quick effect. You can target cards your opponent controls or in their graveyard up to the number of different card types. Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz. You control and are in your graveyard. Return them to the hand. Also, this card gains 500 attack for each returned card. If a monster this card points to is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard, you can target a Cerberus monster in your graveyard special summon. You can only use each effect once per turn. So Singularity is fantastic for getting rid of problematic boards. You can send cards back to your opponent's hands, and you are able to revive monsters that are destroyed or just sent. Then we have Access Code Talker, fairly self-explanatory. We have a copy of Firewall Dragon Neo Tempest Terahertz. Neo Tempest Terahertz is a fantastic card in this deck. You can send monsters from your extra deck or main deck to the graveyard to increase the number of attributes it has, as well as its attack points by 2,500. So it is currently a dark. You can send your earth, fire, and water from the extra deck. So that would be a single copy of Transcode, Decode Talker, and then your Splash Mage. You can send those to the graveyard to increase its attribute count to 4 total, and it would gain 7,500 attack points. And it's starting at 3,000, so that's a fairly nice power-up gain. Next, we have our copy of Protect Code Talker. This is a new Link 3. Takes 2 or more effect monsters. Your opponent cannot target Link 4 or higher monsters you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by battle. If a Firewall Link monster... if you control a Firewall Link monster, quick effect. You can banish Link monsters from your graveyard whose combined Link rating, equal exactly 3. Special summon this card from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect once per turn. So, Protect Code Talker just gives extra defense to your monsters, it's honestly one of my favorite monsters in the extra deck. We then have 2 copies of Codetalker. We have our single copy of Heat Soul. And then we have a single copy of Cyberse Witch. 1 copy of Masquerade. Single copy of Link Decoder, which when used to link summon a monster with 2300 attack, can be resummoned but banished when leaving the field. So very, very good monster. We have our copy of Splash Mage. Getting into the non-link monsters now. We have the new fusion, Cyberse Druid's Worm. Yeah, which is the fusion monster you would summon with Sage's effect. And then you would immediately go into your Quantum Dragon, which is a fantastic monster. While you control Link monster, your opponent cannot target monsters you control for attacks except this one. Also, your opponent cannot target monster you control with card effects except this one. Once per turn, at the start of the damage step that this card battles an opponent's monster, you can return that monster to the hand. So, and then this card can make a second attack. So this is a fantastic synchro to have in the deck. It is absolutely beautiful to utilize. And then we have our copy of Prime Mathmech Operation, which is, again, something that is used in a lot of Cyber stacks. I do keep tokens in the deck as well, or with the deck, just 4 random tokens from the token deck box I have. It's just useful to have, so that way I don't have to, dig them out during a match. But that is it for this deck list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like, drop a comment, and I will catch you guys in the next video. See ya.